My mom reappeared after years of no contact and demanded control of my inheritance, saying we could be a family again. So, I looked her right in the eyes and said, "Who said I want to be a family with you?" I was just a kid, about 6 years old, when my entire life changed. My dad had passed away when I was a baby, so it was always just me and mom in our big, comfortable house. He'd left me a hefty inheritance, but honestly, at 6, money meant nothing to me. I just knew mom was always fine, always comfortable. Then, one day, she sat me down, told me she had to go on a really important business trip, and that I'd be staying with Uncle Rick. Uncle Rick, to his 6-year-old. He was the fun uncle, the one who let me watch band movies and bought me all the candy mom said no to. I thought, score. This is going to be awesome. I waved her goodbye, smiling, completely oblivious that it would be almost a decade before I saw her face again. The first few days with Uncle Rick were awesome. Pizza, late-night movies, old video games. It was a dream mini-vacation. But then, the days stretched into weeks. I'd ask him when mom was coming back, and he'd just shrug, "Soon, kiddo. Soon," with this tired look in his eyes that made me wonder. Weeks bled into months, and that's when it hit me. Watching other kids get picked up by their parents, I'd just sit there, waiting for Uncle Rick, a knot forming in my stomach. One day, I asked again, "When's mom coming back?" He snapped. "Your mom's not coming back, kid," he growled. "She left you with me, so stop asking." That cut deep. My world crumbled. Why would mom leave me? What did I do wrong? Life with Uncle Rick quickly went from fun to a nightmare. Everything I did seemed to annoy him. Leave a toy out. Yelling. Ask for homework help. A sigh that made me feel like the biggest inconvenience on earth. "I didn't sign up to babysit," he'd often say. "Your mom just dumped you on me." I started hiding in my room, my safe space. I'd listen to my little radio, drawing for hours, trying to distract myself from the crushing loneliness. Sometimes I'd pretend mom was just late, that any minute she'd walk through the door with a surprise, "I'm back." But that hope faded, day by agonizing day. I remember one night, hugging my old, worn-out stuffed bear, crying so quietly I prayed Uncle Rick wouldn't hear me. I felt utterly alone, like everything I knew had just shattered. It's strange to think a 6-year-old could feel such profound despair, but I did. Things only got worse. Uncle Rick's annoyance turned to outright meanness. He'd accuse me of eating too much, costing him money. I was just a kid. I didn't understand money, but I understood the message. I was a burden. I started eating less, trying to be invisible, but nothing was ever enough. He'd slam doors, disappear for hours, leaving me alone in that big, quiet house, wondering if mom ever thought of me, if she missed me at all. I found an old photo album once, pictures of me as a baby, mom smiling, dad. It was a life I didn't remember, a life that didn't make sense. How could someone walk away from all that happiness? Eventually, I stopped asking about her. I figured if she cared, she'd be back. Since she wasn't, what was the point of false hope? I had to take care of myself. I buried myself in school, the one thing I could control. I became the quiet kid, head down, acing everything. Teachers called me gifted, full of potential, but I didn't care. I just wanted to survive. Still, watching other kids with their parents, laughing, it would hit me all over again. What did I do wrong? Why wasn't I good enough? Those questions haunted my nights. It took years to realize they'd never truly go away. They became a shadow, a part of me. Looking back, I know why I dove into school. It was control. If I could be smart, maybe, just maybe, mom would come back, proud of me, realizing what she'd missed. But that hope shrank until I was just surviving, one day at a time, trying to figure out how to make it on my own. Fast forward to when I was about 14. My routine was set. School, keeping my head down, avoiding trouble at home. School was my escape. Teachers actually liked me there. I mostly kept to myself, no close friends. It was easier that way, no one asking too many questions. Then came the dreaded group project. I got paired with Lisa. She was one of those effortlessly popular, always smiling girls. I thought, great, she's going to think I'm a total weirdo. But she didn't. She just chatted away, and surprisingly, we got along. One day, she asked if I wanted to come to her house to work. I hesitated. Going to other people's houses always felt weird, like I didn't want anyone to see how different my life was. But Lisa was persistent, and something about her made me say yes. Walking into her house was like stepping into another world. Her family was the complete opposite of mine. Her mom greeted me with a huge smile. "Hey, Mike. Hungry?" I made snacks. Like it was nothing. To me, it was everything. I couldn't remember the last time anyone had asked if I was hungry, let alone made me something. Her dad actually sat down and asked about me, school, interests, everything. He was genuinely interested. It caught me off guard. I mumbled answers, feeling shy, but they made me feel welcome, not like an intruder. Her little brother even dragged me off to play video games. It was simple, but it showed me everything I'd been missing. Sitting there, eating homemade cookies, playing games, it felt like what a real family was supposed to be. After that, Lisa and I hung out more. Every time, her family treated me the same. "Mike, you're part of the family now," her mom would say. "Just come over anytime." It was this warm, unfamiliar feeling, like someone actually cared. I tried not to get too attached, though. This wasn't my family. It was Lisa's, and I was terrified it would all disappear. But Lisa wouldn't let me pull away. She became my best friend, and her family became my safe haven from Uncle Rick's moods. Then came the day I cracked. I'd had a terrible night. Uncle Rick had gone off on me for leaving a light on, spewing venom like, "You're nothing but trouble. Why couldn't your mom take you with her?" It hit me hard. I went to school feeling utterly broken. Lisa immediately noticed. She pulled me aside, asked if I was okay. I tried to brush it off, but she wasn't buying it. "Mike, you know you can talk to me, right? Whatever's going on, I'm here for you." Her sincerity broke through my defenses. For the first time, I opened up, not fully, but enough. I told her how Mom left, how Uncle Rick hated having me around. Lisa listened without interruption. When I finished, she just put her hand on my shoulder and said, "Your mom's missing out. You're a great person, and if she can't see that, that's her loss." It was a simple sentence, but it was like a huge weight lifted off me. No one had ever said anything like that. From that moment on, Lisa's house became my second home. Her parents were always asking about my day, her mom making incredible dinners. It was like stepping into another universe, a place where I felt safe, where I could actually be a kid. But it also highlighted how starkly different my life was. I'd watch them joke, listen to how her parents truly listened to her, supported her, and I'd wonder, why couldn't my mom be like this? Why did she have to leave? I kept those thoughts to myself, though. I knew I couldn't stay at Lisa's forever. Every time I left, it was back to reality, dreading Uncle Rick's mood, or walking into an empty house. Her parents encouraged me to stay, never hinting I was a burden. "Mike, just come by anytime," her dad would say with a reassuring smile. Part of me kept waiting for them to get tired of me, but it never happened. They even took me on family picnics, making me feel completely included. For those hours, I forgot everything, laughed, played, and felt like I belonged. That feeling was something I hadn't felt in years, and I craved it. Lisa's family showed me what a life with genuine care could be. It gave me a flicker of hope, but I knew better than to hold on to it too tightly. Good things never lasted in my life. I cherished this second family, but a voice in my head warned me not to get comfortable. Then, when I was 17, almost done with high school, everything changed again. I was in my room doing homework when Uncle Rick yelled from the living room, "Mike, get out here." My heart pounded. His calls were never good news. I dragged myself out, trying to stay calm. He stood there, annoyed as usual. "Your mother's back," he said, flatly, like he was announcing the weather. My heart stopped. My mom. After all these years, it didn't feel real. I just stared, waiting for him to say it was a joke, but he just added, "She's outside. Go talk to her." What was I supposed to think? Part of me wanted to run, hug her, demand answers. The other part was seething with anger. After all this time, she just shows up? My hands shook as I walked out. And there she was. She looked different, of course. Almost a decade had passed. But it was like looking at a stranger. And she wasn't alone. She had this guy, Jack, with a grin plastered on his face that was trying way too hard. Who the hell is this guy? I thought. "Mike, sweetie," she cried, tears in her eyes, pulling me into an awkward hug. I stood stiff, not hugging back. How could I pretend everything was fine? When she let go, she introduced Jack. "This is my husband," she said. Like that was supposed to make sense. He reached out to shake my hand, his smile too wide. My gut screamed that something was off. "Hey there, bud. We've heard so much about you," he said, way too friendly. My mom started rambling about personal issues and why she'd been gone so long. I just nodded, numb. Personal issues? Was that it? It didn't add up, but I wasn't about to cause a scene. I played along, told her it was good to see her. But inside, a storm was brewing. Anger, confusion, and a deep, familiar hurt. They asked to come in. Uncle Rick was, predictably, nowhere to be seen. We sat in the living room, and Mom launched into a speech about making things right, regretting everything, wanting to be a family again. Jack chimed in. We want to be here for you, Mike. We're a family now. It felt so fake, like a rehearsed performance. My mind raced. Why now? Who is this Jack? Something was wrong. I wasn't a kid anymore. I wasn't going to cry. I had learned to keep my guard up. After that, they started showing up more. My mom would bring homemade meals. Jack would try to be my buddy, offering to teach me how to build things. I played along. It was easier than fighting. But every time they left, I'd sit in my room, staring at the wall, trying to make sense of it. Lisa was the only one I could talk to. When I told her Mom was back, she looked surprised, but not happy. Are you sure this is a good thing? She asked. I shrugged. She's my mom. Lisa sighed. I just don't want to see you get hurt again. I appreciated her concern, but I wanted to believe my mom. I wanted to believe she was truly trying to fix things. But a part of me didn't trust it. Then, one day, Mom showed up with a fancy watch. I missed so many birthdays, she said, eyes misty. I wanted to give you something special. It was shiny, expensive. Part of me felt touched, thought maybe she was trying. But another part felt weird. Lisa's warning echoed in my head about them showering me with gifts. The way she and Jack acted, it just felt off. Why this sudden, perfect act? One evening, Lisa brought it up again. Mike, I know you want to believe they've changed, but doesn't this all seem too sudden? I got defensive, as always, when something bothered me. They're just making up for lost time, Lisa. What's wrong with that? She looked at me, serious. I don't trust Jack. The way he talks, acts. I get a bad vibe. I rolled my eyes, trying to dismiss it. You're imagining things. But her words dug in. I couldn't shake that nagging feeling. I started paying closer attention. Little things stood out. Jack always steered conversations to money, like he was probing. My mom would get fidgety whenever I mentioned Dad's inheritance. I sensed she didn't want to talk about it, making me even more suspicious. Still, I played along, pretending everything was fine. I needed time. I knew something was up, but I had no proof. Not yet. I wasn't a kid anymore. My guard was up. And that gut feeling was about to lead me somewhere I never expected. My routine continued. School, Lisa's house, avoiding Uncle Rick. On the surface, things seemed normal. But now, every time my mom and Jack came over, I was meticulously observing everything. I saw how Jack subtly brought up money, trying to gauge how much I knew. My mom would stay quiet, just nodding along. It was becoming painfully clear. This wasn't just about reconnecting. It was about something else entirely. Then, one night, everything clicked into place. I was in the kitchen, grabbing a snack, when I heard them talking in the living room. I was about to walk in, but their voices made me freeze. They weren't laughing or chatting. They were whispering, and it sounded cold. I stayed hidden around the corner, straining to hear. Jack's voice was low, laced with frustration. We need to get that money, Claire. You said it would be easy. My heart hammered against my ribs. Money? What money? My mom responded, sounding stressed. I'm trying, but Mike's not as clueless as you think. We can't just come out and ask for it. The floor beneath me disappeared. So this was it. The whole reunion, the visits, the gifts, it was all a ploy to get my dad's inheritance. I leaned back against the wall, a tidal wave of anger and hurt washing over me. I'd suspected it, but hearing them say it, like I was just some pawn in their scheme, hit harder than I ever imagined. Everything I'd feared was true. They didn't come back because they cared about me. They came back for what was mine. I crept back to my room, my mind a whirlwind. I felt stupid for not seeing it sooner. Lisa had warned me, and I'd been too desperate for a family to believe her. But that night, staring at the ceiling, my resolve hardened. If they thought I was some naive kid who'd just hand over my inheritance, they were in for a rude awakening. The next day, I couldn't focus. Their conversation replayed endlessly. I knew I had to act, but how? At lunch, I found Lisa and poured everything out. Her eyes widened. Mike, I knew something was up, but that's worse than I thought. She didn't hesitate for a second. We need to find out more. If they're really after your money, we need proof. I nodded, grateful for her unwavering support. We hatched a plan, I would record our conversations every time I was around them. If I could catch them admitting their scheme, I'd have something to use against them. That weekend, my mom and Jack invited me to lunch for quality time. Normally, I'd refuse, but this was my chance. I hid my phone in my pocket, recorder on, angled just right. At the restaurant, they put on their usual show, smiling, asking about school. But then Jack started steering the conversation towards college. So, Mike, thought about what you'll do after high school? College is expensive, you know. But I bet you're all set with your dad's inheritance, right? I shrugged casually, acting dumb. Haven't thought much about it, I lied. Jack leaned in, lowering his voice. Well, your mom and I have been thinking. It's a lot to handle on your own, and we just want to make sure you're making the right decision. I stayed quiet, letting him talk. He was doing that fake concerned act, but I saw right through it. We could help you manage it. You know, just temporarily. Make sure it's invested properly. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing. I almost laughed at how obvious he was, but kept a straight face. I'll think about it, I played dumb. Inside, I was fuming. It was so clear now. Everything was about my money. Later, I played the recording for Lisa. See, I said, my voice shaking with anger. They're trying to get their hands on it. She nodded, her face grim. We need more. One recording might not be enough. If they deny it, you need them to admit their plan, clear as day. I became hypervigilant. The next time they visited, I acted like I was warming up to them, letting them talk about family, about making things right. It was hard to fake it, especially with my anger, but I knew I had to play the long game. Jack fell for it. He became more comfortable, talking about their struggles, bad investments, money troubles, how they needed help. I pretended to feel sorry, nodding along, feigning consideration. Finally, Jack went for the kill. You know, Mike, we've done everything we can, but we're still in a bind. If you could sign over a small part of the inheritance, just to get us back on our feet, we'd pay you back as soon as we can. That was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. I made sure the recorder caught every single word. I'll think about it, I said, faking hesitation. My mom chimed in. Mike, we just want what's best for you. We're family. Families help each other. Hearing her say that almost made me snap, but I held it in. If anything, it fueled my determination. After they left, Lisa and I listened to the recording. She nodded, satisfied. We've got enough. They're trying to manipulate you into giving up your money. We spent hours going through everything, making sure our case was solid. It was hard to accept that my own mother, the person who was supposed to love me unconditionally, was just using me. But I knew I couldn't let them win. I'd worked too hard, survived too much, to let anyone take what was mine. That night, despite the pain, I felt a strange sense of relief. I finally had control. I knew what I had to do, and this time, they weren't getting away with it. No more playing along. I was going to fight back. So here we were. All the sneaking around, all the recordings, and I finally had the evidence. My mom and Jack were trying to scam me out of my inheritance. It was time to confront them. But I knew I couldn't just storm in, yelling. I had to be smart, make sure they couldn't worm their way out of it. The first person I went to was Lisa. She'd been my rock through everything. We sat down, going through every recording, every note. We need a plan, she said, her eyes serious. You can't just show them what you've got. They might twist things, or worse, destroy evidence. She was right. If they caught wind of my intentions too early, they could ruin everything. So, we devised a plan to catch them red-handed, to make them believe I was ready to hand over the money. I knew it was risky, but it was the only way to get them to admit everything directly, something they couldn't deny later. I called my mom that evening. Hey, I've been thinking about what you and Jack said, I told her, trying to sound unsure. Maybe we could meet and talk more about it. I could almost hear her relief over the phone. Oh, Mike, that's great. Let's meet tomorrow for dinner. We can talk through everything. Perfect. This was exactly what I wanted, an opportunity to get them both in one place. I made sure everything was set up. I even asked Lisa to hang back at the restaurant as backup, just in case things went south. She agreed. We've got this, Mike. Don't worry. The next evening, I showed up at the restaurant, phone ready, recorder tucked discreetly in my pocket. My mom and Jack were sitting at a table, all smiles, like they hadn't spent months trying to scam me. Hey, bud. Jack chirped, that fake, friendly grin plastered on his face. I forced a smile back and sat down, trying to look as relaxed as possible. We made small talk, school, Graduation plans. I played along, but every time Jack nudged the conversation towards money, I nodded, acting like I was seriously considering it. I know you two have been trying to help, I said, pretending to hesitate. And I appreciate it. Maybe you're right. I could use some guidance. Jack's eyes lit up, like he'd just won the lottery. Well, we're just here for you, Mike. We want to make sure you're taken care of. My mom was nodding like her life depended on it. We're family, and families support each other, she added, trying to sound genuine. I let them talk. Soon enough, Jack was going on about how I should transfer part of the inheritance into an account he'd set up for my benefit. My heart pounded, but my face remained neutral. Okay, I'm open to that, I said, but I want to make sure everything's done legally. I was thinking we could meet with a lawyer to make sure it's all above board. Jack's face twitched. I'd hit a nerve. He quickly tried to cover it, smiling again. Of course. We want to make sure you're protected, after all. But my mom looked nervous, like she sensed danger. I pushed a little more. I actually have a lawyer friend who said they could come by right now. Is that okay? I said, trying to act casual. The truth was, I'd set everything up. Lisa's dad was a lawyer, and he'd agreed to help me. I needed witnesses, people who could back me up if things got ugly. Jack's smile completely wavered, and my mom's eyes went wide. Mike, honey, there's no need for that, she said, her voice shaky. We trust each other, don't we? That's when I knew they were panicking. They hadn't expected a lawyer. Yeah, but I just want to make sure everything's clear, I insisted, keeping my tone friendly. It's a big decision, right? They both started to sweat. Jack opened his mouth, but before he could say anything, Lisa's dad walked in, wearing a professional, no-nonsense look. Hi, I'm Mr. Collins, Mike's legal representative, he said, sitting down next to me. I understand there's some discussion about transferring assets. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Jack tried to play it off. Oh, we were just talking about some ideas. Nothing serious. But I wasn't letting them backpedal. Actually, Jack, I said, looking him dead in the eye. You were saying earlier that you needed the money to help with some debts, right? He shot me a look that could kill, but with Lisa's dad sitting there, he had no choice but to keep up appearances. Well, yes, just some temporary assistance. He mumbled, clearly annoyed. Is that so, mister? Mr. Collins said, raising an eyebrow. Because if you're asking Mike to transfer any part of his inheritance, it needs to be documented properly. Otherwise, it could be considered financial manipulation. My mom looked like she was about to cry. Mike, we just want what's best for you. We wouldn't do anything to hurt you, she insisted. But the act was over. I saw it on their faces. They knew they'd lost. That's when I pulled out my phone and played the recordings. My mom and Jack's voices filled the room, their words clear as day. We were hoping you could sign over your inheritance. We're in a bind. Jack's face went pale. My mom's hand started shaking. Jack tried to reach across the table to grab my phone, but Mr. Collins stopped him. I wouldn't do that if I were you, he said calmly. It's all being recorded. My mom broke down, crying, saying she was sorry, that she never meant for things to go this far. But I just stared at her, feeling empty. You didn't mean for this to happen? I asked, my voice steady. You were planning this the whole time. I trusted you, and you tried to use me. Jack, ever the pragmatist, wasn't emotional. He leaned back in his chair, face cold. Fine, you got us. But let's not act like you're some innocent kid. You've been living off your dad's money for years, and we're just trying to get our share. Hearing that felt like a physical punch to the gut, but it also made everything crystal clear. This wasn't about family. It was about pure, unadulterated greed. Get out, I said, pointing to the door. Both of you. I'm done. They left, my mom still crying, Jack muttering under his breath. When they were gone, I felt this weird mix of relief and profound sadness. Mr. Collins put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, Mike. Lisa, who'd been waiting just outside, came in and hugged me. I'm proud of you. You stood up for yourself. I nodded, but the truth was, I felt a bit broken. I'd wanted a family, and now, it felt like I had none. But as I looked at Lisa and her dad, I realized I still had people who cared about me, people who truly had my back. Maybe it wasn't the fairy tale ending I once hoped for, but at least it was real. And sometimes, that's all you can ever ask for. What would you have done in my place, facing such a cold betrayal from your own mother? Have you ever had to choose between blood and what's right? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to hear your stories.